called, okay, which HTML attribute specifies tag directions. So for doing this, we have a dir tag. dir stand for direction, okay, which HTML tag defines header label 1. We have a h1 tag, okay, which HTML tag defines the smallest heading. So basically we have a 6 tag, okay. So which HTML tag defines paragraph. We have a p tag, okay. Which HTML tag insert line break. So line break br tag, okay. Which HTML tag insert thematic horizontal rule. We have a hr tag, okay. Which HTML tag defines hyperlink. Which HTML tag attribute defines hyperlink URL. A tag, anchor tag we have, okay, which HTML attribute specifies hyperlink. We have a href tag which attribute opens link in new tab. We have target blank tag, okay, which is HTML tag defines images. So basically img tag we have which HTML attribute specifies image path. So basically we have src tag, okay, which HTML attribute specifies alternative text for images. So we have alt, okay, which HTML attribute specifies image tooltip. So basically we have a title, okay, which HTML tag defines unordered list. So for doing this we have UL tag, okay, which HTML tag defines ordered list. So OL tag we have, okay, which HTML tag defines list item. Li tag, which HTML tag defines description list. DL tag will be here, okay, which HTML tag defines terms in description list. DT tag, okay, which HTML tag defines description details. We have DT tag, which HTML tag defines table. We have a table tag, okay, which HTML tag defines table root. TR tag, okay, which HTML tag defines table data. Which HTML tag defines table header cell. Which HTML tag defines table header section. Which HTML tag defines table body section. Which HTML tag defines table footer section. TL footer. Which HTML tag defines table caption. Caption tag. Which HTML attribute merge table column. Call span. Which HTML attribute merge table rows. Row span. Which HTML tag defines form. Form tag. Which HTML attribute specifies form action URL. Action tag. Which HTML attribute specifies form submission method. Method tag. Which HTML method appends form data to URL. Get tag. Which HTML method sends form data securely. Post tag. Which HTML tag defines input field. Input tag. Which HTML input type hides entered text. Which HTML input type allows numeric input. Number tag. Which HTML input type allows email input. Which HTML input type allows URL input. Which HTML input type allows file upload. Which HTML input type defines checkbox. Which HTML input type defines submit button. Which HTML tag defines the navigation section. Nav, okay. Which HTML tag defines independent self-contained content. We have a article, okay. Which HTML tag defines side content. So basically for doing this we have a side tag, okay. Which HTML tag defines footer section. Footer tag. Which HTML tag defines header section? We have a header. Which HTML tag defines main content? We have a main. Which HTML tag defines generic block container? Div tag. Which HTML tag defines generic inline container? Span tag. Which HTML tag defines figure content? Which HTML tag defines caption for figure? Which HTML tag defines scalable vector graphics? Which HTML tag is used for drawing graphics with JavaScript? Canvas tag. Which HTML tag embeds another web page? Iframe. Which HTML tag defines an external resource? Which HTML tag defines audio? Which HTML tag defines video tag? Which HTML tag defines media source file? So basically for doing this we have a source tag, okay. Which HTML tag defines subtitle? We have a track tag, okay. Which HTML attribute start media automatically autoplay? Which HTML attribute loops media playback? Loop tag. Which HTML attribute shows media controls? Which HTML tag defines image map? Which HTML tag defines clickable area in the image map? Area. Which HTML attribute defines tooltip text? Title. Which HTML tag defines a data list for input suggestions? Data list. Which HTML tag defines output result? Output. Which HTML tag defines expandable content? Details. Which HTML tag defines summary for details? Summary tag. Which HTML tag defines progress bar? Progress tag. Which HTML tag defines scalable measurement meter? Which HTML tag defines Ruby annotation container? Ruby. Which HTML tag defines pronunciation? RT. Which HTML tag defines feedback text in Ruby? RPO. Okay. Which HTML tag defines the machine readable? So machine readable time tag. Time. Okay. Which HTML tag defines bidirectional text isolation? BDI. Okay. Which HTML tag override text direction? Video. Which HTML attribute defines text direction? Text direction. dir tag. Which HTML tag defines address information? Address tag. Which HTML tag defines deleted text? We have del tag. Which HTML tag defines inserted text? ins tag. Which HTML tag defines emphasize text? em tag. Which HTML tag defines strong importance? Strong tag. Which HTML tag defines marked highlighted text? Mark tag. Which HTML tag defines keyboard input? KBD tag. Which HTML tag defines sample output? SAMP tag. Which HTML tag preserve formatting? PRE tag. Which HTML tag defines inline quotation? Q tag. Which HTML tag defines long quotation? Block quote tag. Which HTML tag defines abbreviation? AWBR tag. Which HTML tag defines citation? Cite tag. So we have again done with 100 questions in this lecture. So thank you so much for watching the video, and do like, subscribe, and comment if you have any query. Okay, thank you so much.